Hello, this is Mark, and welcome. I'm having tea with Bo. So, Bo, would you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. My name is Bo Porter. I'm from Austin, Texas, and I love it here.
Good stuff, Bo. And, Bo, what is it that you do for a living?
I'm an entertainer, musician, singer, songwriter. That's how I make my dollar. Bacon and beans.
That is very good to hear. And before we went online, we're having a little discussion, and I'd asked you a question about healing. And can you talk about how healing is relevant in your life right now?
I'm sorry you broke up there.
Yes. Can you talk about how healing is relevant in your life right now?
Oh, it's major in my life right now. Today I've got I think today is 41 or 42 days sober, and um, it's healing relationships. It's healing. Uh, I've gone through a rough time the last 41 days, of course, and you reflect back upon things you did, and that are some of them are quite embarrassing, and not just embarrassing to you, the way you embarrassed others, and that, but there's healing in reflection when you reflect upon it, and you find true remorse for it, and you it affects you, and whenever you're able to apologize to those people for it, that's healing. Um, for me, at least, it's healing, and I've made a major effort to the people that I've affected to reach out to them and apologize to them, and I realize I have to apologize to myself, and that's a healing thing too, and I have to forgive myself, and that's healing. Um, and then there's just the complete physical part of things that once you quit drinking, um, your body heals. I mean, I was at a point where there was a lot wrong with my 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 health, and I don't have those problems now. And I have not just healing physically, but also have healing mentally. And my mind's a lot sharper and clearer. And there's still some things there that are troubling me at this point, but um, because I'm healing, I'm dealing with things better. I would have been a complete wreck if I had still been drinking. So my mind's healing, my heart's healing, my body's healing. I'm very grateful.
Well, Bo, that's really good stuff. And another thing that we had talked about with healing was vitality. So, and you had some good things to say about vitality. So, you wanted to you talk more about vitality?
Sure. I mean, I I have a lot of energy now that I didn't before. Like I was telling you earlier, I didn't realize there were so many hours in a day, and I mean, there's times at 8:30 in the morning. That's when I mean, if I got under, and we talked about triggers and stuff that make you drink. That's what I would do. I didn't care what hour of the day it was, and now I'm not. I have so much energy, and I feel so good, and being that I have these hours in the day, I just want to use that vitality to give back to other people, do nice things for other people. And it's amazing what that does for you. It makes you feel more vital to be a part of positive, just being part of positive changes in other people's life, and helping. I had a situation the other day that I was feeling really, really low, and I was around people that, because when you're doing what I do for a living, you can't choose who you're around, and there was people around me that were irritating me, and I didn't want to be around them. And I had the opportunity when I went over and put my order in for my food after work, and I sat down next to this old man that I'd known for a while, and I noticed there was something definitely different about him. And I got to talking to him. He apologized for He has a neurological disease that's there's no cure for. And he used to be a drummer, and he sat there and talked to me about having to sell his drums, and he teared up, and he went to reach for his drink, and he spilt it, and apologized for that. And he said, "You don't want to hear any of this. I'm sorry." And I said, "No, no, you don't seem to understand." And I said, "I was just around a lot of people I didn't want to be around. I didn't want to hear what they had to say. They were bothering me. But I found a purpose, and it made me feel vital. When I left that old man sitting at that table, and I told him I had to go, it gave me energy. I felt depressed and down before, but now I felt vital. I felt I had a purpose. You know, God gave me a place to be that day where I mattered."
Talking about energy, what about yin and yang? Does that relate to you at all?
Oh yeah, it does. I mean, there's a balance in life, and that's one thing that drinking did. Well, it robbed me of. It robbed me of balance in life. My priorities were completely there was, it was all one-sided. Now that things are coming together for me, I've made the right choices a certain way, as I've learned, and things are coming together. It's the yin and yang of things. It's the balance in life, and now that I'm becoming more balanced, I'm amazed at the things that are coming my way. So balance is very, very important.
And another thing also with when you're going through it too has to be strength. So tell me about
I'm sorry?
strength in your life right now.
Strength.
Yes.
Well, that's been a big one here. I mean, I've gained a lot of strength through meditation, prayer. I get a lot of strength from the Waddles books, and I just have to say this before I go any further. When I was first introduced to the Waddles books, the first one, of course, was the Science of Getting Rich, and it really went past me. I really didn't get it until all of this happened, and my wife told me about her spiritual path, and I went and I started seeking out these books. I went that day and I bought like 5 of his books, and I ended up buying the trilogy offline. I keep it with me everywhere. It's right here, and I read it over and over. And that's got the Science of Being Rich first, then it's got the Science of Being Well, and then it's got the Science of Being Great. In my opinion, the book was written backwards. It should have been the Science of Being Great. Then you get the meat and potatoes of things. You start to understand the terminology, the philosophy, the science behind things, and then you go to the Science of Being Well, and you understand in the more rich part. But really, what good are riches if you don't if you don't have your health? What good are riches if you can't manage those riches and maintain those riches in the right way and know how to use them to help others, not just yourself? So the Science of Being Great really put me on the right path, and I'm very happy and I am very appreciative of my wife for turning me on to that. It's really changed my life. But strength, I've gained so much strength from that. And I went to AA, and that's where I started out, and looking for a place to gain strength. And I did get some from there, and I still do get some from there. And I have friends from there I talk to. But the majority of my strength, of course, is from God. And that's one thing I like about the Waddles books, is they're written, they're ability-based philosophy and science. And they've really helped me strengthen myself. There's some areas of my life that I am weak in. I'm very, very weak. I know that. There's certain how to gain control over those things and become stronger. My heart is one of them right now. When I have longings and stuff for things I wish I could make right, and I go a little overboard when it comes to trying to make things right, because I'm weak for certain things, and the hurt I've caused certain people. So I'm trying to gain strength in those areas, and to where I do things right. Remember, it's more about them than it is about me. And but that takes strength to remember those things. Concentration and strength, you know.
I just want to say, Bo, that heart was something I was going to ask you about. Something
Yeah.
that was coming up a lot is heart. So you want to talk more about the heart?
Oh, the heart, my God, there's just so much. I mean, it's such a. I'm not really sure how even to express it. You know, you can love from your heart, you can love from your mind, you can love in all kind of different ways. When you love from the heart, I mean, truly from the heart, it's the most beautiful there is. The heart can, and yet when you can also hate from the heart, and it can be the strongest hate there is, and it just depends on what you put in your heart. You can build those things in your heart, you know. I believe that you can, as I say, have a change of heart. And does that make any sense? You can be one way for a while, and then you realize you have a change of heart, and your heart is your mind, it's your actions, it's your uh, how you treat others, your priorities. Your heart controls so many things.
That is true. Awesome stuff. Bo, you're doing fantastic. I mean, I am
Thank you,
very
sir.
inspired by your talk, and you really speak very well. Being the fact
Thank
that you're a musician, I'm pretty sure this is something that's very relevant to you. What about rhythm and harmony? Can you talk about rhythm and harmony in your life?
I'm sorry that it just broke up really bad.
Rhythm and harmony. Can you talk about rhythm and harmony and the importance of rhythm and harmony in your life?
Yeah, their rhythm and harmony. Well, the harmony's not any good unless you don't have your rhythm right. I mean, if it's just if you're out of rhythm, just everything's going to sound bad. Everything's going to feel bad. You know, whether you're talking about music or whether you're talking about your walk in life, you've got to get the right balance, like we were talking before. That the rhythm's got to be right first, and you don't have a good beat, all the great harmonies in the world are just going to sound horrible, and there's no harmony. It's just that you that's a difficult one to explain. It's a very deep question. You asked some good questions, Mark.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I guess you are.
You're doing very good. Real quick, in the beginning, also we talked about, wholeness, and I really felt that you had a lot of good things about wholeness. You want to share more about that wholeness?
Well, I don't know what there is to say. It's just about being complete. If you're in, well, it goes back to harmonies. You're more harmonious if you're whole. Those two things go together. And if things are out of balance, then it's difficult to be whole. And I speaking of the completeness, I really like one of the analogies that was given in the Wattles books. It still stays in my mind every day, and it's about the train, and the train as in and of itself is a good thing, and it's fine. With the steam that pushes it, it's fine, but it's that bad spot in the rail that causes it to go in the ditch. But there was nothing wrong with the train. There's nothing wrong with the steam. It was a bad spot in the church. It wasn't whole. So when your life's track is whole, when everything is in place like it should be, that train will run true. It'll get you where you're going. It's not right. It's not whole. It can derail you. And does that make sense?
Makes more than sense. That's a great analogy. Really great analogy. And what about, I want to ask you about nature, because nature is something that I feel has come up. How is nature like important to you?
Oh, it's very important. It's something to be protected and taken care of and respected. Nature is just, I've enjoyed myself and been able to be more harmonious now that I've taken the time to take walks and get into the woods and kind of go dock and sit and look at the water go by and just kind of connect. And it's a wonderful place to meditate. It's a wonderful place to read. And I feel more connected to God when I'm there. I find myself spending too much time indoors and reading and studying, and I've been doing a lot of that here lately. But in nature, it's a different feeling. You get so much more out of it.
Go a little bit deep over here. What about divine love? Is divine love, is that relevant for you?
Yeah, it's really relevant right now, especially in my life right now. There's nothing in this world that can or make you feel worse. When you have love, and it's a good love, then it can put you on top of the world. It makes everything in balance in your life. And when you don't have it, you feel like nothing else matters. And love is, there's so many different ways to love, though. You can be in love or have love for someone, and I've had it put to me several different ways over lately here, and it's to be, to be in love is wonderful. And my dad used to tell me, he said, there's nothing more pathetic in the world than a one-sided love. And when one person is in love and the other person is not, that's horrible. When both people are in love, it's harmonious, it's beautiful, it's productive. It's when you're with someone, I don't care if you're who you are, if you have the one you love, then all things are possible. But you got to love yourself first. You've got to love yourself. And if you can't love yourself, then you're incapable of giving love in a healthy way. And love you, Mark.
I just want to say that, Bo, this has been really great. You're doing a great job, and I'm really getting a lot out of it. You definitely, you really speak from your heart. You really speak truth. Something that came up also is anything having to do with fear of change? Is fear of change anything like relevant for you?
There's not a half hour that goes through in my life now that I don't have to remind myself that fear robs me of my faith. And that is from the Waddles books as well. It's also from the Bible. And fear robs you of your faith, and it's man, I tell you, it can make your mind run a million miles an hour, and it can do that when you're awake. It can do that when you're asleep. You know, it's fear, and it's fear is just, yeah, it's fear can be debilitating, very debilitating, and it can also. Well, let's just relate it to my dream. I was back in April. I was looking at, and we're now in July. Back in April, I was looking at, and I was thinking about not drinking as much as we were at the time. I thought about quitting altogether, and I was afraid of it. It robbed me of my strength. It robbed me of my willpower, and I was a failed, and that is something that I'm not used to. Failure. I put my mind to my own life. 85 bad motorcycle wreck, strung out on. A really bad motorcycle wreck. Hit a moose doing 60 on a bike.
Wow.
And I was so busted up they had to keep me still. I ate Valium for 6 months. Doctor took me cold turkey, and that was horrible. It was a horrible time to go through in my life. The world was coming at me so fast. I was used to everything being slow, and so I was afraid of that one. And then 97, another car wreck. My bad mistake was going to a pain clinic. I got on methadone for 6 years, and when I asked to come off, they said no. I knew what it was like without any rehab. I did it all. Me and my wife, she suffered through right there with me. There was no rehab. It was, and I remember how mentally challenging it was and how hard it was physically on me and her to fight those demons, to get those monkeys off your back. You know, and then there was the Klonopin they gave you to help the twitches, and that's even more addictive. And so when it came time to quit alcohol, I know what it's like to go through that hell already. And I was afraid. I was very afraid that I couldn't do it. And it's one of the most horrible things I've ever put in my body was alcohol. And it made me afraid of everything. I was afraid to get on a train into Europe that didn't have a booze car. You know, I'd find out a store. It brought on anxieties. Fear brings on anxieties. And I didn't realize how anxious I was about things. And anxieties, they start with, alcohol started making me depressed, and the depression brought on the anxieties. And then one thing builds to another, and they're like little blocks. And the anxieties build. After a while, you've got a wall in front of you, and you can't. And you're afraid. You're afraid all the time. There's all kinds. But I'd drink enough, and I'd get over my fear. It'd loosen me up, and I could move on. But it was also a depressant. So it was just a vicious cycle, round and round in a circle, you know. So fear, I've experienced fear. There's not much I'm afraid of, just not. But that the alcohol and being without it, it made me afraid, and that robbed me of my things.
Well, Bo, that was powerful stuff. Powerful. Wow. I'm blown away right now. I just want to say that you definitely speak from your heart, like I said before, you know, and I really like your genuinity, and I really like the way you talk. You know, it's just been a great show. I really appreciate it. You've been really honest. I really think that you can help a lot of people. So
And that's
definitely
what
like that.
I want to do, Mark. That's what I want to do. I'm not proud of a lot of the things I've done, but I've got on something with what's happened to me, and I can help someone else not go through it, or help them get through it. That's why honesty is the most absolute important thing to me anymore. Is not honesty with everyone else, just with everybody else, but with myself as well. I have to be completely and totally honest, because when you're drinking, you're lying to yourself. I lied to myself constantly. I lied to others, not lies as in bald-faced lies or anything, but it was you're lying to yourself about little things that it was the alcohol. That was the reason for this, and that was the reason for that, and you made up excuses other than the alcohol. It wasn't the problem. Everything else was the problem, and everybody else was the problem. That's the other thing alcohol did to me.
Absolutely.
It made me point my fit, and I was just all the time that I was pointing my finger, it was just a reflection of who I was.
Absolutely. So, Bo.
I blamed everybody. We should ask about choice.
So, I want, this is the part where I just want, you to notice, there are people watching the show.
Yeah.
And it could be, pretty much right now, or it could be someone maybe in the future. And it could be someone that you might know, or maybe a total stranger. But, somebody out there is going through a lot of fear. And what advice would you give someone that's dealing with a lot of fear right now?
What advice would I give them?
Yes.
Wow. First thing I tell them is to grab The Science of Being Great. Read that. Because when you have strength, your strength will overcome your fear. And you've got to find that. You got to find that strength. You can do anything you want to do. Anything. You don't. I'm still afraid of a lot of things. There's a lot of fear in my life right now, but I replace it with faith, and I repeatedly repeat to myself that I've got to have faith. And all over my house, I bought way too many Waddles books. They mislead you sometimes on the title of them. So I ended up buying multiple copies of this. I've had them laying all over my house, on the dryer, on the dresser, and when I have fear and I start to feel it creeping in, I've got certain places in the front of my book I've written the page numbers in order to go to help me overcome that fear. And the other thing is overcome fear. Don't be afraid to ask for to reach out and talk to someone. I mean, anybody can call me anytime. I don't hide from anybody. Go to BoPorter.com. For God's sake, my phone number's there. And I know I've had enough people that I've had to call that in the very beginning, I'm doing better now, that I had to call and reach out when I was afraid. And I don't mind anyone calling me when they're afraid. There's strength in numbers. We stick together. If we've been there, we've been through some hell, and you're talking to someone who's been through it, you can overcome that fear. You realize they came through it, you came through it too. You can do this.
Well, Bo, I got out of that great stuff. I want to read you a affirmation, because every single thing that we're talking about leads to this one point, this one affirmation.
Okay.
And I think this really hits with you. I think that this is definitely a great affirmation for yourself. And when I'm done reading it, I'll read it a couple times.
I can't hear you.
When I'm done reading the affirmation, share about your thoughts about the affirmation, okay?
Okay.
So it says, I am physically whole and vibrantly alive. The strength of my heart fills and surrounds me, and I am a positive force in the world. I'll say it again. I am physically whole and vibrantly alive. The strength of my heart fills and surrounds me, and I'm a positive force in the world.
Hmm. This is what I'm working on. This is what I'm working on every day. This is what I wake up to. I have my routine in the morning, and it's to make me all of the things you just said. So you've got to be all that before you can be. You really don't have to be that before, but it helps to be a positive force in the world, to be a positive influence on the world. Little things like I mentioned earlier, talking to that old man who has his problem. I was a positive. That was a positive thing that I got to do that day, and so I'm feeling more whole. I'm feeling stronger. I'm feeling more vital. I have so much to offer now. Alcohol robbed me of so much. I have so much to offer, and I have yet to reach my potential. I'm not complete yet. We have to be complete. We're all work in progress, and but no matter where you are and what stage you're at in your life, there's still something positive that you can add to the world. There's still something positive you can add, no matter where you're at. And you'll get stronger, you'll get more vital, you'll get more whole. You may not all be right there today, but there's still something you can do.
That was fantastic. I want to say that I really felt that this is probably one of my better shows. I think you really did a great job, Bo.
Thank you, sir.
And
I've been studying a lot, and I've really been digging in my heart a lot.
yeah, you definitely are. And I just want to because we lost your video, your video feed, so that's okay. But I just want to say that you really were a very good person to have on the show and everything like that. You really had a lot of great things to share. And we're going to close up the show, but you want to say anything like how can people get a hold of you, and any last closing words, everybody?
Well, I just like to let everybody know that I am there. People have been there for me. People have taken my phone calls. People have sat down and talked to me and spent time with me and shared their experiences in life and how they came through it, and that gave me hope. But yeah, you can go to my website's boporter.com. It's for my business, for my music, and you can get a hold of me there. There's my email is on there, theboporter@yahoo, or you can get a hold of me at boporter65@gmail, and send me an email if you would like to chat, talk. You need someone, I'm there. And of course, just remember that the thing every day is fear robs faith, and you'll beat the fear. And keep a good heart and try to do something good for everybody every single day.
Well, Bo, I really appreciate being on. And you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Sorry, we have a little delay here in our video, but thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much.